Tobi Lutke, a coder with a skateboarder's heart who quietly rewired how the world sells things. This is the story of how a curious kid in Germany became the co-founder and longtime CEO of Shopify, the platform that turned small shops into global businesses and made its creator one of the most influential builders of modern commerce. He wasn't born for boardrooms. Tobi grew up in Koblenz, West Germany, where a childhood gift, an 8-bit home computer, opened a door he never closed. By his early teens, he was not just using software, he was pulling it apart and putting it back together. Programming wasn't a job, it was the most fun he could imagine. That habit, the urge to tinker, would become the single thread running through everything he built. In his 20s, that hobby met an itch. He loved snowboarding and, like many passionate hobbyists, wanted to make a small business out of it. Around 2004, he and 2 friends launched an online snowboarding shop. They quickly discovered the available e-commerce tools were clunky, limited, and built with compromises that made passionate merchants grind their teeth. Instead of settling, Tobi rewrote the rules. He built his own platform using Ruby on Rails, a language and framework he favored for its clarity and speed. The software worked so well that what began as a storefront became the real product. Snowdevil's platform evolved into Shopify, and by 2006, the founders had pivoted entirely. They were no longer just selling snowboards, they were building the toolkit for anyone who wanted to sell anything online. What makes Tobi's story different from a typical founder origin tale is the way he thinks about product. Not as a list of features, but as a developer's craft. He came from open source culture. He contributed to the Ruby community, built libraries, Liquid, Active Merchant, and carried those values into Shopify. Simplicity, composability, and developer empathy became company principles. Instead of asking, how do we lock customers in, he trained teams to ask, how can we make merchants more successful? That merchant-first posture became Shopify's superpower. The company didn't chase Bezos-style domination by owning every step of the retail funnel. It made software that made merchants stronger. Growth came in layered waves. Shopify's early years were steady, improving the admin, building templates, and adding payments. But the product matured into a platform, not merely a hosted storefront, but an ecosystem where apps, developers, designers, and entrepreneurs could gather. That platform thinking is crucial to understanding Tobi's strategy. He didn't want Shopify to be the only place you sold something. He wanted it to be the best place to build a business. By opening APIs, fostering an app marketplace, and making integrations easy, Shopify created a virtuous cycle. More merchants attracted more apps made Shopify more valuable, and the rising tide lifted everyone. Shopify's IPO in 2015 put the company on the global map. That public moment validated what had been an obsessive focus on product and community. Yet Tobi's approach to leadership never resembled the classic Silicon Valley playbook. He's a technologist first, a CEO second, someone who reads architecture diagrams for breakfast and thinks in abstractions. He has been both intense about metrics and oddly allergic to corporate polish. Under his watch, Shopify grew into one of the most important infrastructure companies for commerce, and with growth came enormous influence. Tobi retained a significant stake and unusual voting power, which let him keep product direction tightly aligned with his original vision. Anyone who follows the Shopify story knows the pandemic years were a defining chapter. When stores closed their doors in 2020, Shopify did something it had long been prepared to do. It became a bridge to survival. Merchants who had never considered an online storefront were suddenly forced to, and Shopify made the leap quick and practical. The company rolled out tools to help brick-and-mortar operators sell online, launched local pickup and delivery options, and invested heavily in merchant support. That pivot didn't just grow revenues, it created legions of entrepreneurs who had Shopify to thank for their next chapter. To Tobi, this was validation that infrastructure matters. When the world changes fast, the companies that own the rails determine who can move. But success isn't a straight line. The platform era brings friction, competing incentives, regulatory attention, and hard decisions about scale. Shopify has weathered criticism over labor decisions, product choices, and how it balances merchant freedom with platform health. The company has also gone through cycles of expansion and contraction, deploying capital where opportunities looked the largest and pulling back when it didn't. Tobi's response has typically been to double down on product clarity and to treat controversy as data, messy, noisy, but informative. Philosophically, Tobi's public voice is distinctive. He talks about living in everyone else's relative future, trying to be a few steps ahead of merchants, so Shopify can build the tools they'll need tomorrow. He's an unapologetic fan of automation, developer product design, and, recently, artificial intelligence, arguing that the company should integrate AI into workflows as a baseline expectation. That stance has shaped internal policy and public perception alike. When a platform of Shopify's size says AI is a tool you must know, it changes expectations across the industry. Tobi is also a person of unusual hobbies and interests for a CEO. He likes motorsports and has even moved into competitive racing. A reminder that his temperament blends technical curiosity with adrenaline. Personal quirks, his cap and glasses have become part of his public image, reveal a founder who's comfortable standing apart from the classic corporate veneer. He's thoughtful in interviews, often preferring long-form conversations about product craft over sound bites. He's candid about weaknesses too, the discomfort that comes from leading something far bigger than you imagined, and the loneliness of responsibility. On money and ownership, Shopify's growth made Tobi wealthy beyond the dreams of Snowdevil's authors. But even here, his choices reflect a technologist's mindset. He's structured influence to maintain product control, and he tends to speak about wealth in functional terms, as a way to back the mission and think long-term. That's not to say he's uninterested in impact. He's accepted awards for supporting the Canadian tech sector and has become a figure often cited in discussions about how to build companies that sustain both commerce and community. Shopify's culture under Tobi is an odd mix of scrappiness and design discipline. It has disciplined product rituals, strong emphasis on data, developer velocity, and merchant outcomes, alongside an ethos of experimentation. The company pioneered ideas like merchant obsession as a North Star, and the product teams operate with a clear sense of why they build things. That clarity helps explain how Shopify scaled. When 1 billion decisions are needed to serve millions of customers, a company that can simplify decision-making wins. The Shopify ecosystem is now vast. Designers create storefront themes, developers write apps to extend payments, accounting, shipping, and marketing. Agencies help craft brand stories, and merchants from tiny one-person operations to global brands rely on Shopify's infrastructure. The platform has become more than a product. It's a trade route for modern entrepreneurship. Tobi built the rails, but the merchants filled the cars. Of course, there are tensions. The platform's success invites competition from other SaaS vendors, from marketplaces, and from cloud providers practicing their own forms of platform capture. Internally, staying lean while running a global platform is hard. Decisions about hiring, layoffs, and focus areas have drawn scrutiny. In recent years, Shopify, like many tech companies, has had to reconcile growth ambitions with a demanding market and a shifting macro environment. Tobi's answer has been methodical, focus on long-term product bets while ruthlessly prioritizing the teams that move the needle for merchants. One of Shopify's defining attributes is its developer ecosystem. Tobi's background in open source meant the company would treat third-party contributors as allies rather than adversaries. That cultural choice converted technical goodwill into a real economic moat. Developers who build apps and integrations are often entrepreneurs in their own right. Shopify made it possible for them to grow alongside its merchants. The result is a layered business where Shopify captures value not only through subscriptions and transaction fees, but by enabling an ecosystem of complementary services. Leadership-wise, Tobi is a case study in a particular kind of founder CEO, intensely technical, product-forward, and surprisingly philosophical. He's not a cheerleader who recites mission statements from a stage. He's a craftsman who sketches architecture diagrams and rewrites onboarding flows. That's an unusual profile for a public company CEO, and it's a large part of Shopify's identity. Employees and merchants often describe the company in terms of product thinking rather than investor narratives, and that emphasis anchors many of Shopify's hard choices. The Shopify IPO in 2015 accelerated the company's ability to invest in platform reliability, payments infrastructure, and merchant services. It also meant far greater scrutiny. Public markets demand quarterly stories and show a low tolerance for vagueness. Tobi's approach to that tension has been pragmatic. He has kept the product roadmap visible to the market, leaned into transparent communication, and emphasized that long-term value arises from merchant success, not short-term hustle. Two parts of Tobi's legacy are worth underscoring. First, democratization. Shopify lowered the barriers for entrepreneurship. You don't need to be a technical founder or a retail chain manager to sell globally. Tobi built tools that turned complexity into a productized workflow. Second, platform ethics. By choosing to make the platform an enabler of merchants rather than an extractor, Shopify set a different tone than some of the dominant marketplaces. Whether Shopify can hold to that stance as it grows is a big question for the next decade, and one Tobi has deliberately set the company up to answer by keeping influence and governance tightly linked to product stewardship. He's not without critics. Some argue Shopify's economics favor the platform too much. Others critique decisions around community and content moderation or the company's handling of internal restructuring. These criticisms are real and meaningful, but they're also typical for companies at this scale. The important point is how a leader responds. Tobi's public posture has been to treat criticism as feedback, adjust where necessary, explain where you can, and always come back to product outcomes. Beyond Shopify, Tobi's voice matters because he talks about how technology reshapes work. He's been an outspoken advocate for using automation to amplify human capability, a view that is increasingly relevant as AI changes how knowledge work is done. His more recent memos and public commentary have pushed Shopify to adopt AI as a baseline expectation for employees, reflecting a worldview that technology should raise the productivity ceiling for teams and merchants. If you look at the arc of his career, there's a consistent model: see friction, reduce it, and then productize that reduction for others. Snowdevil revealed friction in commerce. Shopify built a solution. The app ecosystem scaled it. Tobi's genius is not in inventing one magic feature. It's in building a composable platform where countless features can be assembled by merchants and developers into businesses that look and feel original. What should viewers take away? First, meaningful startups often begin with a personal itch, a problem the founder experiences daily. Second, product craftsmanship can outcompete pure marketing when the product genuinely removes pain. And third, platform designs matter. If you design with openness and developer ergonomics in mind, you can build an enduring engine that powers other entrepreneurs. Tobi Lütke's story isn't a myth of overnight glamour. It's a long run of curiosity, obsession, and iterative improvement. From a kid bending early computer games in Germany to a CEO whose software powers millions of sellers, the arc is one of steady, practiced ingenuity. He shows what's possible when a builder refuses to accept good enough, and instead chooses to build tools that let hundreds of thousands of others be better at what they do. In the end, Tobi's legacy isn't simply the size of Shopify or the headlines about valuations. It's the millions of small businesses, the candle makers, the indie clothiers, the neighborhood coffee roasters, who found a platform that made selling less of a slog and more of a craft. That's the quiet, powerful way Shopify changed commerce, by making entrepreneurship a bit more accessible, a bit more efficient, and a lot more possible.